Alrighty then, welcome back for another review. I'm doing something a little different today. We're going to be taking a look at a clone device today, and it's a little bit of a different clone. It's not really your traditional clone. It's more of a compatible device, if you will. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Cleito Mini that I picked up off of Fasttech. It is not a clone of the Cleito. It might look outwardly like one. It's just a lot tinier. But what makes this thing different is that instead of using the Cleito style coils, it uses Nautilus coils. So yeah, I saw this on Fasttech. It was $6.09 and had a little bit of shiny-itis and decided to pick it up. So is it worth getting? Is it something that's decent enough that I can recommend picking up? Well, let's find out. So I'm going to conduct a review on this. We'll dive down to the table, tear it apart, and then I'll come back and give you my final thoughts. So yeah, stick around. Check it out. Alrighty, and we are back. Okay, first of all, let me apologize for the lighting here. I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera. It doesn't look too bad as I'm recording this, but yeah, we'll see what happens with it. Got to do what I got to do with my webcam. Anyhow, a little bit of background noise going on too. The fridge is deciding to run right now, of course. So yeah, anyway, like I said, we're looking at the Cleito Mini. Yeah, I thought this was an interesting little device. It is built like a Cleito, where it's got the traditional top cap that's removable. We'll see all that down below when I dive to the table. And it's got a Cyclops-style airflow on both sides. And yeah, I know the Nautilus 2 just came out, and I thought that this would be an interesting comparison to it. Nautilus 2 being a 22mm tank, it's got those adjustable little dots for the airflow control. And I thought this might be more interesting simply because it is a Cyclops-style airflow. And as you can see, I mean, you've got full adjustability on it. And I kind of like that. I think it's a better solution than having the user select however many more holes they want to have on the airflow control ring. Just like the Cleito, it has the removable top cap. The top cap screws directly into the coil, just like the Cleito, and it's got the removable sleeve drip tip, and it's hella tight, let me tell you. I might have to wait until we get down below for me to show that to you. It's got a little bit of juice on it. But yeah, the sleeve comes off of a little nipple that's on top of the top cap. Not a huge fan of that, but that is what it is. It's a 19mm tank, and I'll give you all the specs down below when we dive into the table. And initially, I was kind of skeptical about that. I was like, do I really want to buy a 19mm tank at this point? But in all reality, the Nautilus 2 is also a 19mm tank. The glass is about 19mm in diameter from outside to outside. And it's got that big sleeve that drops over the top of the glass to function as the top cap and the protector for the glass. That's why it, in spite of being a 22mm tank with these tiny Nautilus coils, only holds 2 milliliters, just like this. So you get about the same juice capacity and everything out of this tank that you will out of a Nautilus 2. After we dive down below, I'm going to compare it to the original Nautilus Mini, the Kabuki, the Triton Mini, and the Nautilus 2. Those are the tanks that I've used that are compatible with this. There are a few more out there, like the Aspire Plato is also compatible with Nautilus coils, and the Aspire K3 is also compatible. I've never used either of those systems, so I really can't speak intelligibly about whether or not, or how, rather, this compares to those. So, anyway, we're going to dive down below in just a second and take a look at this, but yeah. This is, in spite of the fact that it's got 2 airflow slots, it's still strictly a mouth-along tank. You can manage a direct-along draw off of this. But it's a hell of a long mouth-along draw, so it's really not meant for that, although it's possible. If you slipstream, and that is to draw air into the mouth while you've got part of your mouth open outside of the drip tip, to draw air in from outside of the tank simultaneously, it goes a lot faster. You do get more vapor, but your flavor takes a nosedive. Let me demonstrate. A lot of vapor. It's a lot looser, not as dense. But, you know, the flavor really dove off a cliff there. We'll talk about what comes with the kit. Not a whole lot there. That won't take long. And the coil that comes with the kit. That won't take long either. What I'm using in this right now is a 1.6 ohm Aspire, authentic Aspire coil. I had a couple of those still laying around. And I have not had a chance to test this out with the new 0.7 ohm coils. None of the shops around me carries them, and I hate to buy a 5-pack at this point. So I'm kind of holding off. I might pick one up off of Fasttech or something with my next purchase. And I'll update this as I need to. But everything I hear about these coils says that they're phenomenal. I did order, the same day that I ordered this, I ordered a rebuildable atomizer for it. It's the VVTF RBA base designed for the Kabuki. That hasn't come in yet, so that's going to be a separate review. So that'll be coming down the pipeline sometime in the next several weeks, whenever the product finally comes in. It shipped out of Hong Kong, and of course, it being Hong Kong Air and blah, 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 tracking doesn't work worth a crap. So, I don't know. It could come in today, for all I know. Anyway, enough babbling about this. Let's go ahead and dive down to the table. We'll take a look at it, show you the really, really meager box contents, and we'll take it apart. I'm going to go ahead and empty the tank out first and clean it out for you. Break it down, put it back together, fill it up, and then we'll come back up and give you my final thoughts. So yeah, stand by. Alrighty then, and we are back. We're at the table, and we're going to be taking a look at the Cleito Mini. So let me go ahead and get it out in front here on my high-tech display device. Yay, napkin. Anyway, I've got it pre-broken down for a reason, and that is that this device is a lot like the Cleito in that the top cap of the device actually does not screw down into the tank. It screws down directly into the top of the atomizer housing. And forget the condition of that coil. It's the only one that I have, so yeah, we're going to be using an old juicy coil. Anyway, yeah, Cleito Mini. And I'll put some specs up here on, rather, this side of the screen. And it's going to be 19 millimeters in width, the diameter of it from side to side. If you look at the bottom of the tank, 19 millimeters, so the same width as, say, the Ego 1 or anything to that effect, or the original Nautilus Mini. Top to bottom, including the drip tip, it's 46 millimeters. It holds 2 milliliters of juice, and the weight of this is 25 grams. So it's a little guy. The glass is, by the way, it does not come with a spare, so be careful with it. 19 millimeters in diameter, of course, and 17 millimeters top to bottom. So, yeah. If you ever need to buy another one, then that's what you're going to have to look for. Yeah, we'll start with the base. And looking at it, the machining quality on this is, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest in the world, but it's by no means bad. Got this big, fat, chunky O-ring down at the bottom. You're adjustable, and it might be a little bit difficult with the way I've got it set up right now without the tank. Oh, there we go. Adjustable airflow control, Cyclops style, and it's got pretty tight resistance. That's a good, maybe a bad thing. It is a little bit of a bugger to adjust it once you've got it on the mod. 510 pin, not at all, not even the slightest bit protruding, so yeah, not that you would anyway, but don't use this on a hybrid mech mod. The threading on this, I gotta say, is pretty decent. I mean, the coils screw in there, or the coil screws into the base pretty well, and the top cap screws into the coils pretty well. And really, that's the only places you've got threading at all. Glass is borosilicate Pyrex glass, whatever you want to call it. And there's your top cap. It's got a little bit of threading in the base that actually goes into the base of the, I guess, chimney, if you want to call it that. That connects to the actual coil. Another O-ring right there. We'll get to that in just a minute. And at the top, you got this little nub in here for the drip tip, drip cap, whatever you want to call it, with a nice big fat O-ring to hold it in place. In fact, we'll take a look at that right now. There's your drip tip. A lot like the Cleito, not compatible with it though. Just an empty sleeve, and one side of it has a beveled edge right there. That's the top. That's the end that points towards your mouth. The part without the beveled edge actually connects to the tank, so we'll go ahead and do that real quick. And this booger is tight, I do have to tell you that. You might actually be able to hear it while I'm connecting it. I mean, it really grabs on there. So yeah, if you hear any noise in the background, that would be the minions upstairs. Yep. So that's what that is. The glass just connects like so. Pop it on there, like I said, big fat O-ring at the bottom, so it's nice and secure. And I mean, this thing's on there good. I mean, I can hold it by the glass and it's not going anywhere. It's, you know, really, really solid. But we don't want to do that just yet. And just like the Cleito, how you're going to do this is you're going to take your Nautilus compatible coil. I digress. Let's talk about the coils first. The coil that came with this was crap. It was pure crap. I tossed it out, put an authentic Aspire coil in there, and boom, works great. So anyway, screw it down. And this particular part really cranked this thing down. We'll get to that in just a minute, and I'll tell you why I did it when we talk about some of the issues with this. Get your glass, pop her on there, make sure it's nice and level all the way around, nice and flush. Yep, looks good. And then you're going to fill it up and put your top cap on. So, ordinarily, I, at this point, would have already primed the coil. Or I would have shown you how to prime the coil. And that is to put a couple drops down the center of the coil, and maybe one drop on each of these 4 holes. This is a pre-primed coil. I've been using it, so I don't want to do that. Don't want to flood it out. So let's get some juice. And this bottle here has the nice little chunky plastic top. It fits fine for these purposes. A glass pipette will work just fine. Any type of unicorn or pointy style bottle will work great as well. And let's see if I can get this on camera. Up here. See the threads there? A lot of people say don't fill it up past those threads. Me, I fill the glass up almost to the top. I leave about 1 or 2 millimeters toward the top. And that's it. Because there is going to be a little bit of displacement as you connect the threading in. And you're going to feel that top rubber gasket grab pretty quickly. So tighten it down. There you go. That's how you do it. Alright, and while that's sitting, let's go over the box. This is the most nondescript box ever. Hold on for me for 1 second. Alrighty then, I am back. Kids, go figure. Anyway, here's the box, and like I said, the most nondescript ever Fasttech box. I mean, it's got nada. So what was in the box? Well, you had the Cleito Mini in the condition that it was in right now, minus the juice, sitting in that. That's it. That's all that was in the box. When I made this order, I also did order a spare drip tip. Did not come in that box. It came just like this in the bubble wrap. So, yeah, I'm making use of the box and popping it in there. Yeah, like I said up top, this is the shortest unboxing ever. Absolutely nondescript. Typical Fasttech sticker on there. Yay, that's it. Anyway, not a whole lot more to this down here. I'm going to put this on a mod, take it up top, and I'll tell you what I'm vaping at as far as wattage. And yeah, I'll give you my final thoughts on it. So just stick around, stand by, and check it out. Alrighty, and we are back up top. Like I said, the most uneventful Fasttech unboxing ever. Yeah, that's about the most plain packaging I've seen from any vendor. Anyway, yeah, we're back up here taking a look at the Cleito Mini. I've got it on the EV5 stick Power Nano, and we're going to be rocking this thing. It reads 1.7 ohms, 5.45 volts, 17.5 watts. I'm going to open up the airflow completely. And yeah, it's probably going to be a little flooded because I just filled it up and it's been sitting for a while without me taking any type of hits off of this. So it might be a little gurgly because this coil has been pretty well broken in. Not bad though. I mean, what can I say? I mean, this thing vapes like a Nautilus, which makes sense. It's a Nautilus coil. And I found that after filling it the way that I showed you, where I didn't invert the tank, it does gurgle for about the first 4 hits or so. And as you can see, I mean, it produces a good bit of vapor when I'm doing a direct along. If I do a mouth along, vapor production's still good, the flavor's good. That's to be expected, it's a Nautilus coil. If I close the airflow down to right about there, just a little hole, really good mouth along. And if I close it off even more, where it's just a little tiny sliver, just a dot, that is tighter than the Nautilus Mini on its smallest setting. So yeah, you get a lot of options with this for airflow. Wide open. I have vaped on the Nautilus 2, I've vaped on the Triton Mini, I have vaped on the Kabuki, and both of the Nautilus tanks. Wide open, this is more wide open than the Nautilus or Nautilus Mini. It's as wide open, no more or no less, than the Nautilus 2. The Kabuki, it depends. If you took the airflow screw completely out of it, it might be just a skosh more open than this. But your airflow bottleneck is going to be the coil itself. It doesn't have a whole lot of airflow going into the bottom of the coil. So this is about as much as you're going to get out of one of these coils, period. I have not vaped personally on the 0.7 ohm coil. I've heard great things about them, but they don't have any more airflow. The coil itself is a little bit wider. It has a wider bore than the coil in this 1.6 that I'm vaping, but the airflow from the bottom isn't any more substantial. But that being said, people say good things about it. It does produce a warmer, fuller vape, and like I said, I'll go ahead and order a couple of those coils if I can find some that are affordable. Right now, they look like $12 or so for a 5-pack, and I just don't want to spend that on this right now. Yeah, so let me go ahead and open this back up a little bit and vape this where I've had it, wide open, mouth along. And it vapes great. Yeah, and I mean, this falls with the whole ecosystem. It's not an official Aspire product by any means of the Nautilus devices. It vapes like a Nautilus. It vapes like a Nautilus Mini. It vapes like a Nautilus 2. It vapes presumably like the K3. They're all pretty much identical. You know, the business end of any atomizer or any clearomizer is the atomizer coil. That's what's doing the vaping. So yeah, it's going to vape just like those. Presumably, it's going to vape something like the Cleito with its the Triton coil adapter. But you know, the Cleito's got the chimney that's about that long, and you know, it's going to reduce the temperature of the vape and the quality of the vape. Forgive whatever's going on out there. I have no idea. The construction crew is doing something out there. Anyway, compared to the Triton Mini, the Triton Mini does have a little bit of an airier draw than this, but again, I said it's just minimally airier because you're limited by what the coils are doing. You know, what the coils are allowing to pass through it. Now, let's compare it aesthetically to these other devices. I never was a big fan of the Nautilus or the Nautilus Mini. I owned them because they were great tanks, or the Mini anyway. I just never really cared for the whole Petri dish, specimen bottle look that the thing has. It looks like it belongs in a laboratory. Never liked that. I didn't like the fact that it was just nothing but glass either, and it was glass that protruded away from any metal. So if you drop the thing, it was going to break. That being said, though, for the Nautilus and Nautilus Mini, you could buy replacement glass. You can't for this. Triton Mini, I never really cared for the thing. It was just garish. It was ugly. The top fill was fine. I mean, it worked great, but it was a big honking mini tank. I mean, it was about that tall. And yeah, I just didn't dig it. Compared to the Kabuki, I love the Kabuki. I love the Kabuki clearomizer, except for one fact. They're just airflow. You need an Allen wrench. I think that's a bad decision. I don't know why they didn't put a traditional airflow control ring on the bottom, but hey, that is what it is. And it's also bottom fill. So let's go over that. The Nautilus Mini, and the Kabuki, they're bottom fill devices, meaning you have to take the device off of your tank, take the bottom of it off, squeeze the juice in there, pop the bottom back on, screw it back on your tank, and vape. Here, you remove the top, and I probably just flooded the tank out because I didn't close the airflow control ring. You fill it up, you put it back down. That's it. So with that, it's as easy as the Triton Mini. Let me go ahead and get rid of the flooding. How does it vape? Well, like I said, it does vape like any other Nautilus coil, and this 1.6, which is reading 1.7 right now, I'm vaping it at 17.5 watts. That seems like my sweet spot. The 0.7 ohm coils, those can go up a little bit higher. I presume I could probably get that around 25 watts for a comfortable vape for me. At 17.5, I'm getting a good, flavorful, warm vape. That happens to be flooded out right now because of the way I filled it. Yeah, so like any other type of clearomizer, what I recommend before you fill it, close that airflow control ring off completely. Remove the top, fill it up, start threading the bottom end. And these O-rings are pretty fat. You're going to feel it start to grab immediately. When you do, invert it and completely screw it back down. I just didn't do that on camera for whatever reason. I don't know. Let's talk about the O-rings. Once in a while, when you take the top cap off, the O-ring goes with the top cap. Or most of the time, rather, it goes with the top cap like it's supposed to. Once in a while, it'll stick to the glass. Be aware of that. If that happens, take it off, pop it back in the top cap. Not a big deal. Another problem that's endemic to this, and it's more with the coils than anything, and it happens on the Nautilus Mini, the Triton, all of them. When you're unscrewing the top, sometimes the coil goes with it. So in order to remedy that situation, here's what I do. When you saw me install the coil, I popped it on there. I cranked that thing down. I really, really cranked it down super tight into the base. Get it as tight as it'll go, and then crank it some more. Put the glass on, fill it up, put the top cap on. When you're tightening the top cap, keep threading it down until it stops. No more. Don't give it an extra turn. You don't need that. It's got a big fat O-ring on there. And if you do that, the coil will not back out as you're pulling the top off. Because this is a top fill and because the top cap connects to the coil, it can pull the coil out. And because the coil connects directly to the base, if you do that, the juice is going to flow right into your airflow control base and it's going to ooze all over you. So just be aware of that. As you take the top cap off, look at the coil. If that coil starts backing off, stop what you're doing and then open it up over a sink and pour all that juice out. Otherwise, you're going to have a big, juicy mess all over you. So that's something to keep in mind. That's not necessarily a problem with this. That's a problem with these coils, and it happens on every single Nautilus-compatible device. Really not sure what else to tell you about this. Let's compare it. Do I recommend it over certain devices? Compare it to the Nautilus, the original Nautilus. Advantages of that Nautilus. It's a 5 milliliter tank. I mean, you can hold 2.5 times the juice. It's a 22 millimeter tank, so it'll fit on your 22 millimeter mods nice and flush. Like this is a 22 millimeter, and I've got a bit of underhand. I don't think it looks bad though. But that Nautilus, the original Nautilus, even if you replace the stock drip tip, it's a huge honking ugly device. I think it's ugly. Nautilus Mini, I think it's just as ugly. It's smaller, it's 19 millimeters, but it's taller than really it needs to be. And compared to those two devices, this does have the convenience of top fill. It's smaller, it's compact, and I think your airflow options are much better. So yeah, with the build quality that comes out of this, and being as it costs $6.09, yeah, I can recommend it over those two devices. Compare it to the Triton Mini. Me personally, just from an aesthetics point of view, yeah, I can't stand the Triton Mini. I think it was just a god-awful, ugly device. The Triton Mini is a more solid device, and the glass is certainly more protected. So, yeah, kind of weigh that with what you want. But if you want a mini device, I don't think the Triton Mini is particularly mini. I recommend it over the Triton Mini. Kabuki. And I hate saying this because I love the Kabuki. I do recommend this over the Kabuki because you have the convenience of A, top fill, and B, you don't need an Allen wrench to adjust your airflow. If you're like me and you adjust your airflow throughout the day because you want to have a different draw on this, if you have the Kabuki, you're going to need to carry around an Allen wrench. That being said, I love the Kabuki. I mean, it's a great, great clearomizer. It just had a couple of issues. The bottom fill didn't so much bother me. That airflow just kind of broke it for me. So yeah, I mean, this is a great alternative to the Nautilus, and it gets you in the Nautilus ecosystem with those great coils. And the coils you have available are your Nautilus 1.8 ohm, 1.6 ohm that I have in here, and the 0.7 ohm that are available for the Nautilus 2. Also in the Aspire ecosystem, you have all the coils that are available for the Triton Mini. You've got the 1.8 ohm Clapton. You've got a 1.2 ohm Canthal if you wanted to go lower, but not totally low. And they also make a titanium coil for stainless or for temp control if you have a device like this that will do temp control. I know some third-party vendors have titanium and nickel coils that are available for the Nautilus, so you've got those available options. And if you do what I did and order the VVTF rebuildable RBA, then you can put whatever you want in there. I'll probably be rocking stainless steel. So yeah, you got a ton of options for this thing. And like I just mentioned, I ordered the VVTF, and here in a future review, like I said, the thing could come in today, it could come in 3 weeks, who knows. I'll get my hands on it, I'll play around with it a little bit, figure it out. I'm sure it's going to be a steep learning curve for wicking that thing because it's so freaking tiny. And then I'll give you my thoughts on it and conduct a proper review. So anyway, I've got nothing else on this. I'm not going to say anything about advocacy. We've beat that to death as reviewers. All the stuff that I have for advocacy is down below. Do contribute if you can. And the future down the pipeline, what I have is the VVTF. I still need to conduct my follow-up tutorial on naturally extracted tobaccos. I'm probably going to do that here in the next several days. I've got work coming up over the weekend, and then Monday I'll probably do it. Maybe Tuesday. What else? I'm about to make an order on Fasttech, pick up a bunch of liquids from Liqua just to see what they're about. I'll conduct 1 or 2 reviews on that. It's 16 liquids, so I might break it up in half. Picking up a couple knickknacks too, and I'll give you my thoughts on those. Also, I think tomorrow I'm going to be ordering the Alpha Fox Mini Bolt 52 watt. Looking forward to that. I really want to try that device out. And I've got the Merlin Mini coming in as well, and I'll be reviewing that. The Merlin Mini is going to come in first, so I'll probably be reviewing that with one of my 22mm devices. So yeah, that is what it is. It's going to look a little funky. And then when the Mini Bolt comes in, I'll pop it on there and give it a proper justice. Anyway, I'll stop yapping about all this stuff and just say, whatever you're vaping on, do what you got to do to stay off the stinkies. Whatever device you're using is right for you. So as long as it works, rock it. Anyway, I'll go ahead and get out of here and leave you to your day. And just say, vape on, vape strong.